Hey guys, it's me Shadow, and today we are going to be talking about Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball in a whole, not just on its own, obviously. And I've been thinking about making this video for ages now, because obviously I grew my channel on Dragon Ball. Most of my content originally was from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. But I've been making this video, wanting to make this video for ages, and the reason is just because I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball whatsoever, and I'm going to state my opinion later on in the video, but I've realised now, ever since I left that community, how important Dragon Ball, like, as a whole is to the anime community. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to express what I mean by how it's important, and obviously I'm going to go into a different question I'm going to ask and start later in the video. And yeah, I hope you guys just enjoy this, because this is going to be a very controversial video, I can already know, because there's a lot of Dragon Ball fans that still follow me. So anyway, what I mean that is how Dragon Ball is important to different anime communities, and that's going to be the main question of this video, is that if you look at Dragon Ball as an outsider perspective, and you realise how what it's done for the mainstream, and how it's pushing anime out to different viewers and different age ranges. And one thing I have to give credit for to Dragon Ball is its marketing. It is marketed very well, and it's shown how great of success it is, and it is still the most popular anime in the world. It's still like the most well known as well. Even though Dragon Ball's not the best anime, I'm going to say that now, I'm probably going to get a lot higher for that, but it is still the most well known anime in the world, and it shows in its, like, what's the word, relevance still to this day, because Dragon Ball hasn't aired for like ages. Super ended ages ago, but one of the things that is super important nowadays is relevance, and Dragon Ball's kept that consistent for years now. And it's not only just because obviously it's Goku, and they have a new arc running for like 2 years. That was dog shit. I don't want to hear anything about that. Fucking Granola arc, not Granola, was it? Yeah, Granola arc was absolute dog shit. Don't want to hear it. I didn't read it all, but I watched the whole video on it. It's terrible. Anyway, so yeah, they can't like basically give you all this shit saying, oh, it's like really good. I'm going off topic. You can't like say Dragon Ball's bad or it's a bad influence on the youth when it's pushing anime out to really big audiences. So like, I know a while ago, they had this massive convention thing in Japan about Dragon Ball, because obviously the new movie dropping out, and it was fantastic. And there's a lot of creators that say Dragon Ball was their first anime to watch, because it probably was for most people. Everyone started with like one of the OG animes. Like, people either started with Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, or Pokemon. I started with Pokemon, so I can't really blame them to say that shit. One thing I will say though, that Dragon Ball does pretty well is its marketing for different games, because the games are basically all the same but with different combat. So you've got Dragon Ball Xenoverse, both of the games are basically, you play through the first 3 arcs, so the Saint Saga 2, the Boot arc, then they add like some little time twisting thing in it that legit nobody cares about, because the Dragon Ball Xenoverse story isn't good. I can say that now, I've done it so many times, it isn't good. You've got Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that's legit the first 3 major arcs, but you can just play through it as Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo. That's legit it. And then you've got Breakers, that was like a new type of like survival horror game-ish type Dragon Ball game that didn't do very well. Nobody liked it, and I haven't played it personally because it's like, it just doesn't look good to me. But I have seen some people just complain about that game over and over again. I was like, they have a specific formula that Dragon Ball does, and they keep selling that formula out to the youth, because majorly these games are for kids, and you can say that by the way Dragon Ball is. Like, if you're looking at before Super, I would disagree, because there's so much gore before that, like so much blood and shit. But Super, like, they sell that as like a kid's target audience, because they didn't really go crazy overboard with the shit, like blood and guts over there, and it kind of pissed me off. But I'll get to Super later on because I think it's just pure ass. Anyway, with all these games I've got, and they keep selling basically the same story over and over again, it's only like a matter of time before people get bored of the formula, and that's what people are doing. But they're still buying it, and that's what's basically important. They buy the stuff to see if it's new, but it's not. So that increases Dragon Ball's like numbers and relevance in the gaming community, because out of all anime games, Dragon Ball has the most, I believe. And it's also the most relevant as well. So like, if you just keep buying the same formula with different combat over and over and over again, that's going to boost the relevance for games, for Dragon Ball anyway. It's going to lift it upwards, and it's going to basically get more people's attention from that. Because I would say now the only decent Dragon Ball like game that is still like running is Fighters. I wasn't good at Fighters, but it's a good game, and it's still like the only one that I'll see that if I ever go back to playing a Dragon Ball game, it will probably be the Fighters, because Fighters is fun. But anyway, the formula only works for a certain amount of time though, so I wonder how they're going to expand again to make the community talk about Dragon Ball again. Because if you think about it, there's nothing new coming out for Dragon Ball. They've got the new arc going on where it's like after the Granola arc, but because of how disappointing and how dreadful that arc was, I don't think anyone gives a shit for this new arc. And I stopped reading Dragon Ball like halfway through the Moro arc because of how bad that was, because it was only good towards the end. There's not, when it comes to Dragon Ball now, it's just not as good as it was, and I can say that as someone that's watched it and read it. And people can say, oh, you're just biased because you watch other anime, oh, you're just a degenerate because you don't like it. Like, not being funny, it's my opinion, and the thing is there on writing, and like YouTubers like Rhymestyle, Dota Doya have said this themselves, that there's not been good Dragon Ball shit for years. People just suck it off because obviously it's like nostalgia for them, and I've said this again for like different types of games as well. So like, if you grew up with a game and you just kept playing it over and over again, and you don't realise the flaws in that like gaming series, you're gonna keep buying it. And that's what people did with Dragon Ball. They kept buying it over and over again, and that's how the formula works really with Dragon Ball. So you can't really buy it. But I believe Dragon Ball is probably one of the most important animes for the whole community as a whole. The reason is because it's basically like the Fast and Furious of the anime world, and that is a weird take, but it basically is. It's the plot isn't crazy. Nobody really cares for it. You're there for the action, and that's what basically half the people that watch Dragon Ball is there for now. Because the plot is all over the place. The writing's a mess, and half the characters become irrelevant in the series anyway. And that is really disappointing because they have some really cool characters, but again, they just back them off to the side and just forget about them because they focus on Goku and Vegeta the most. And I don't want to hear the bullshit saying, oh, they gave Piccolo and Gohan their own movie. Yeah, and that movie's probably not canon, so it don't really matter. And that movie was ass. I don't want to hear it. The movie was ass. Yeah, it has like cool hype moments, but look at the whole plot itself. It was just dog shit. Anyway, off topic again. But yeah, Dragon Ball as a whole is very important to the community because of how recognisable it is as well. So if you just stuck like a figure of like one of the star Dragon Balls somewhere, someone probably knows what it is. And Dragon Ball's like influence has affected other animes as well. So like my favourite anime, like one of my favourites, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. There's a scene in that where Valdora does a Kamehameha. That obviously is a direct reference to Dragon Ball Z, but it was so like I can say this now. I loved it. Loved the reference in that because I would rather watch Slime over and over again than watch one arc of Dragon Ball. And the reason is just because the formula for Dragon Ball's writing has gone a mess. It's dog shit now. I don't know what they've done, but ever since actually this is before the recent arc, it was shit in Super. Like Super started very well with Battle of Gods and Resurrection of Earth, and then after that I believe it was the tournament arc between Universe 6 and 7 that was okay, and then it went to the Goku Black arc a can't remember the structure for Super specifically, but Goku Black Arc was absolutely dog shit. It had some really hype action moments. That's why people say, oh yes, like some of their favorite arcs. But the writing is awful. I don't want to hear it. It's like one of the worst fucking arcs I've ever watched. It's so bad. And then ever since then, it's gone all over the place, the writing, because the Tournament of Power arc is still very entertaining, and the writing in it is still very good. And I would say it's one of the Dragon Ball's best arcs, and I will back that to this day. Tournament of Power is one of the Dragon Ball's best arcs. But after that, the Broly movie was cool, I'll rate it, but after that, the writing's a mess. I don't want to hear it. But yeah, I think Dragon Ball right now is just in a weird scenario. It's just in limbo zone because people are waiting for the new Dragon Ball Super 2, but I'm saying this now, I don't care for it. And it's not that because I'm a hater or anything, it's just that I don't really like the Moro or the Granola arc. I think they're just bullshit. The writing's awful. Yeah, I get it, the hype moments are going to be cool, but I don't care for it. And I bet all the Dragon Ball fans are going to slander me for that, but it is what it is. But the one thing I will say about Dragon Ball is that I think that is another question. We're moving on now. We're going to move on to the second question I'm going to ask. The other thing I want to talk about is just unoriginality, and that's a very big word to throw about Dragon Ball because it is original. But when it comes now to it, one of the things that distincts Dragon Ball from like other anime is how long they drag on shit, and this happens a lot with transformations throughout Dragon Ball. So, for example, when we first saw Super Saiyan 3, Goku had he could only use it for a certain amount of time because it would have a restraint on his body. We only saw it like 4 fucking times. We saw it like when he used it against Majin Buu, when he used it again against Kid Buu, and when he used it again against Beerus, and one against Trunks. If I'm forgetting one, it's because it's probably not relevant. Over and over again, Dragon Ball has some really cool aspects. Like the first 3 Super Saiyan transformations, yeah, cool, love it. We got like Super Saiyan 1, mind blowing. Super Saiyan 2, yeah, a little bit of power, a little bit of like the hair change and like different aura. And Super Saiyan 3 was a massive change. But when we got to the God forms got really, really annoying because we went from God, that I think was really cool. It was like my favourite form, like the slim body and the red hair and like how he can move at like super fast speed. Love that shit. But then we had Blue. That was basically Super Saiyan Blue. And I get it. Oh yeah, Super Saiyan Blue. And I was like, I don't care. And then obviously after that, if you had Vegeta, you would have Evolution as just him buff with like spiky dark blue hair with like dark blue pupils. So I was like, okay. And Goku had Kaioken Blue. I was like, there's nothing really original about these 2 forms. It's just that one's got a red aura and a blue light iron aura, and one's got a dark blue aura. So okay. And after that, we went from it was UI for Goku, and UI was basically him in his base but with white hair. And I was like, yeah, cool. And what? So next after that, we got Gogeta in his God form. No, whatever the fuck the form's called, his purple hair. He's basically his base hair with no eyebrows. That's all it is. The unoriginality when it comes to these forms now is that they're legit just inverting the colour palette or just swapping the colour palette. Not even doing a whole change thing like to the body like they used to do. And that's one thing I hated to do Super 4 was the lack of like originality for its transformations. And yeah, Rose and like Rage Trunks was cool, but like again, there's nothing really mind blowing about the transformations because like there's only just a hair colour swap and that's it. And I think one of the main things that Dragon Ball like is known for is its transformations, and it's like right now one of its biggest letdowns because of Super. Like Dragon Ball Super, and it's a hard take, but if they just put more time into like, instead of like, because what they used to do like drag it out for 3 fucking episodes, and then we have this mind-blowing transformation. If they did that, but shorten the episodes and like explain what the obviously form does, it doesn't have to him like, because Goku's fucking stupid. You could just him saying it to his enemy or just saying it in his head or something. And that as a whole is a really cool thing, like aspect. But I think that if they just put more time into it, it would be good. And like characters like Piccolo, I'm trying to think of another character now. Piccolo and Jiren have their own like type of transformations. Jiren doesn't, but he has that like full powered form. Yeah, they are cool, but like they're probably gonna get forgot about at some point because Goku's just gonna get super strong. He's not gonna care for them, and I see him doing that, and it's just disappointing because Tournament of Power Up made a lot of good side characters shine. Like Android 17, he's like probably my favourite character in Dragon Ball, and he's only been shown like a handful of times throughout, like ever since Super. They always forget about their side cast, and it's just a massive letdown because they have some really cool characters. But yeah, there's nothing really else I can say now about Dragon Ball. Like right now, it's just in a spot where it's just being the main promoter and main focus to like promote anime out to different target audiences, and its marketing is really good. And that's basically all you can say for Dragon Ball right now, because there's fuck all to say about it. People say, oh, you can talk about the recent chapters. I don't care for it, so I'm not going to. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because it's a bit of a different one. It's mainly, I wanted to talk about the different arcs in Dragon Ball, but the main thing I've seen recently is the influence Dragon Ball has had in like as the anime community as a whole. It's not just Dragon Ball, it's One Piece as well. But I'm gonna have a whole different video to talk about One Piece because it's a story I actually like, so I can actually talk a lot about it. Sorry I've been gone for 2 weeks. I've legit, I wanted to upload a few weeks ago because I had a Honko video planned, but I felt ill, so I can't really record when I'm ill now, can I? So yeah, I'm back up to my feet now, so I'm hoping you guys don't mind me just catching up a bit. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.